All right, y'all. Peace, y'all. Appreciate the amount of people here. DJ, shout out to you for coming through. Yeah, so we decided we'll be doing a teach-in about Westwin Elements and some of the issues around it that we, the people applying and people of Congo, should be concerned about. So, yeah, let's get started. All right, so first slide, what is Westwin Elements? You got your Facebook Live?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so Westwin Elements. So essentially, Westwin Elements is a company that was founded in June 2022, and they are apparently the first nickel refinery being opened in America. What this refinery is essentially a refinery to take actual minerals and resources, one in particular, cobalt, and then refine it and make it into very dangerous chemicals and gases within the plant. And then these gases will then be produced to make a lot of actual weapons, actual devices, iPhones that we use and we get every year, electric vehicles, batteries. So it goes back into these industries, which essentially just goes back into making profit for a lot of these big corporate industries that use these devices and whatnot. So yeah, so this is pretty much Westwin Elements, what they're trying to do. They already, as you can see, they already have a test plant out. Right now you can visit, and essentially once the test plant proves that it's successful to the city of Lawton requirements, then they will build a full-scale refinery, and that'll be, I mean, they're projecting, I think it was like 2026 from last I heard, but right now they just need a letter of approval from the governor, Kevin Stitt of Oklahoma. So that is pretty much Westwin Elements. So if we go next slide. So of course we're going to talk about who is Westwin Elements, and as far as like the people behind Westwin Elements, we have to talk about the leaders, a lot of the board members within Westwin Elements that's running this operation. So the first is Kaylee Long. She is the CEO and founder of Westwin Elements. So just again, just for the sake of time, we just want to go through the more important parts of her her background and things that you should know. So of course, she has no experience in the refining business at all, which she even had to get a partnership with CVMR, which is a metal refinery provider within Canada. And we'll get to them a little bit later. But essentially, she just has no experience at all in this, but yeah, she's going into it. She's a white supremacist, far-right political consultant, a former far-right. Well, she's still far-right, but she's a former political consultant who was pretty much lobbying for a bunch of political candidates within Haiti, Congo, Venezuela, South Africa. So she has a lot of experience as far as the political arena. And then she even has experience with being in the Congo, where she actually was there on the ground, and she's seeing the humanitarian crisis firsthand, but yet she still decided that we need to intervene with the minerals in the Congo. So she saw that what's actually happening is that these foreign entities are coming in and taking the minerals from the Congo, but she still decided, hey, let's join in that because that's going to save the Congolese people, which is just ridiculous. But yeah, so that's just a couple of things about her. She's also believes in the mythology of white South Africans for some reason. I don't know why. Shout out to Westwin Resistance. When we were talking with Kesa from Westwin Resistance, they were talking about how they literally deleted a video. Kaylee Long deleted a video from her YouTube channel talking about the genocide white South Africans, which is just false. It's just lies. It's very white supremacist talking points. And the fact that she said that, but being in the ground, in the Congo and seeing what's actually happening to the Congolese is bizarre. It's crazy. So again, you can check out the links. We will send out the links after the presentation to our email list, to those who are on it. And pretty much they'll have all this information. You can check the deleted video on their page. So that's pretty much Kay Long and who she is. So if we're going to talk about another interesting leader, we have to talk about Dennis Muhlenberg. Essentially, Dennis Muhlenberg is also a board member of Westwin Elements, but he is the former Boeing CEO pretty much the former Boeing CEO. And as you guys can see, he was responsible for the 2 737 MAX plane crashes in 2018, which resulted in 346 people dead. There's a lot to this whole situation, so I encourage everybody who hasn't seen this to check out our links. There's just so much to this. But yeah, there was just a whole just criminal conspiracy probe about this, and Boeing had to pay like $2.5 billion in the settlement. And then, of course, he was fired in 2019. And just something also to note is that before this whole scandal, this whole situation, he literally was told that these planes are unstable, they can't work, the fact that he had privy to the information, he actually understood what was going on, he still decided to go on and push the planes for a flight. And then after the first crash, after realizing this, they literally were telling him this again, but then they still pushed this out. He was still going out in the public saying, oh, everything's okay, we're good, we don't gotta worry about nothing, let's just continue like everything's normal. And then the second plane crash happened, unfortunately. And yeah, so this is just to show you, these are the leaders behind Westwin Elements. If we're talking about people who are coming in and Lawton and trying to say that they want an open opportunity for us and care about the people of Lawton and want us to have better job opportunities or just etc., this is going to be healthy for the environment or the ecosystem, it's just lies. So this is just to show you who is pretty much behind Westwin Elements, some of the leaders and the board members. So yeah, very interesting to know. So we also want to highlight the issues or just the relationship between Lawton and the city of Lawton and Westwin, and kind of the timeline of events of this pretty much starting. So one thing to note, that in 2022, the city of Lawton held a city council meeting. It was a very private session, and they kind of titled the project Blue Braveheart Project. It was a code name for the refinery, and they intentionally did this because shout out to Kesa, on her Facebook, the Westwin Resistance Facebook page, she pretty much gives updates on all of the city council meetings and talking about Westwin Elements. And she says that the agenda notes are always available to the public. So essentially you can actually go on the website after the meeting and then go check to see what all they talk about. But essentially they closed this one in particular, and so it's just to show you the operations behind this is just a little bit weird and shady. And of course they never let the people know in Lawton what is actually going on. So and then of course these people are disingenuous and they don't have the experience. And so CVMR, like I was saying, the metal refinery plant provider in Canada, essentially what they did, they had a partnership for over 6 months, and then they split last year in 2023. We don't really particularly know why, so we just know that they have been partners. And essentially CVMR was supposed to actually provide them all the materials to build the refinery and give them the experience that they have, to Westwin Elements that, obviously they don't have. So, yeah, so just something to note. And then of course, shout out to Westwin Resistance. They kind of found this out that Westwin Elements have been lying about even just having the basic certification for even having something like this in Lawton. It's called the Armor certificate, and they went on their website and they pushed and contacted the people on the Armor website, and they were saying, hey, does Westwin Elements have the right certification to even have this? And they said no. So obviously, they pushed back on Westwin Elements, and then Westwin Elements, they got finally actually took it off their website. So it's just like there's a lot of weird, shady things that they do. But it's just to show you that these people are saying that they have this, they have that, but they clearly don't, and they're willing to put it on their website publicly for you to actually to know about. But then again, if you dig a little deeper, you can see it's just all lies. So we just wanted to point that out. So yeah. So I know a lot of people are probably wondering, how does this affect the people of Lawton? Why should I care? Why should we even get into this? Why should we even, just even give this thought and do something about it? So we're gonna break it down and go through some of the reasons why we should care about this. So first, the environment. So Westwin Elements says that their air pollution for this pilot facility, so the demonstration plant, apparently they say they produce as low air pollution, right? But if you actually look through, you'll see that the CO emissions are estimated over at least 1.8 tons per year. And to put that in perspective, it's at least about 36 gasoline cars if you take the annual typical mileage. And then the nitrogen oxide emissions are estimated over 4 tons per year. And again, that's literally, if we look at the data, it's 84 heavy-duty diesel vehicles on that typical mileage. So it just goes to show you how much dangerous chemicals and gases that they're producing every year, but yet they're telling you that, we're not really pushing that much out in the environment. And of course, they need a permit for the emergency backup generator. The ODEQ literally in their documents told them essentially this facility is not exempt from having a permit requirement. So essentially, again, another lies on lies, sitting here telling you oh yeah, we can't, as far as having the air pollution, it's low and it's safe, but it's just, again, we can see the data, we can actually research this, it's just lies. So yeah, so it's very dangerous for the air pollution. And another thing to note, real quick, CASA also told us that the air quality checker in Lawton is actually not near the pilot plant at all. So it's actually I forgot exactly where it's at, but it's not close to that. So if they were to actually detect any dangerous chemicals going out in the air, they won't really pick it up instantly. So just something to note. So yeah, that's that for air pollution. Of course, we're not done with the environment. We got more water pollution. So if anyone knows anything about Lawton, Lawton has a lot of water issues. I mean, if you look at East Cache Creek, there's dangerous high levels of E. coli and dead fish if you look through, and we'll get to that. But essentially, we went through a lot of the studies and the reports on this, and so one study in 2007 was talking about metal refinery plants within Canada, and talking about how over time the chemicals from the facility eroded the ecosystem and the actual environment around it over time, and then it even popped up dead fish and et cetera, et cetera. So the nickel carbonyl that's being produced from these metal refinery plants are also eroding the ecosystem. And so if we're talking about like, oh, this is like safe, you know, we don't gotta worry about nothing like as far as that goes, like it's clear as day that this is gonna make the city of Lawton water issues even more worse because the city manager, John Ratliff, apparently said they're investing at least over $100 million to pretty much upgrade the wastewater treatment plant equipment. But this has been happening since 2017. They even had the city of Lawton issue an out of compliance with them. And yeah, so again, the water in Lawton is already bad. So imagine this plant coming in and then doing what they do, it's just gonna make it worse. So again, it's just lies that they'll tell you saying that it's safe. So yeah. So of course, if anyone knows, we live in Tornado Alley as far as like Lawton goes in Oklahoma. And so this plant is especially risky because of the fact that like tornadoes happen, flooding, all of these things, and there's just a few facts about the tornadoes in Lawton. A lot of people did get injured and some people died. Even Westwin Resistance noted that like in even Oklahoma, a nearby city, I think it was in Elmwood, there was like explosion risk of like gas pipelines being leaked. And so I don't know if anyone lives near this area in Lawton, or if you go near like Dale Mission Road, sometimes you'll see like fires if you're going to like Altus. And so just imagine something like this happening within or near the facility, like how risky that would be if something were to happen or a tornado breaks out, all the dangerous chemicals going out into the environment in the space in Lawton. So yeah, just something to note there. Another thing that affects the people of Lawton, which I think people should know, is that the workers within the refinery, the plant, they're not safe as well. So, you know, we'll get to how many workers they say that they're gonna, you know, have as far as like opening up job opportunities for people. But if we look through some reports, some actual like safe and healthy reports within the 1970s, it literally stated that the nickel carbonyl, like inhalation of nickel carbonyl within 24 hours of exposure to like rats and like other animals caused edema within the lungs and the brains, and then death happened afterwards. So like, you know, this is not, and there's numerous reports again on nickel carbonyl. So this is not a safe, you know, breathable toxic chemical that you can, you know, be within. And then even a recent OSHA report in 2021 talked about how there was a worker that inhaled at least like within 8 hours nickel carbonyl, and they already produced like the nickel carbonyl that they inhaled already had like the exceeded limits as far as like how much nickel carbonyl you can actually inhale before it gets dangerous. So this is just to show you that like the workers that are going to be in the refinery, they're not even going to be safe at all anyway. So like imagine that happening to people who are working here for the first time. So all those city council meetings with Black Rock and all these, you know, private sessions saying, you know, it's safe and whatnot, it's just lies. It's just straight up lies. So yeah, just something to note there. And so now we can get finally into the job opportunities. So of course they say that, you know, they're going to offer about 2,300 jobs with $100,000 per year salary with benefits and all this other stuff, but pretty much it's just lies. If you look through the City of Lawton press release statements and you look over time when they talk about Westwin Elements, they literally been reducing the job like amount like over time, and it like so the first it was like 2,300, and then it was 700, then it's 85, and then like they just keep going down. And so again, like this whole lies about job opportunities is also fake, because CVMR themselves, which like what we stated is that their partner, they even have a video within their on their YouTube channel talking about how in 2012 saying that you only need like 4 people to actually like run a metal refinery. So you don't even need like over 10 or like all these like, oh yeah, we're gonna have thousands of jobs for everybody. Like that's just lies, because you don't really need that for a metal refinery. And then you can literally just virtually do everything from a remote location. So you don't even need to be there to do the other stuff in the refinery. So again, they're lying and telling you that they're going to give you job opportunities, they're going to do a lot of things for you as far as that goes. But it's, again, like I said, it's just lies. And then of course, you need to be college educated for it. And if you even look at like the census data for like the people of Lawton, it's like 23% people that are even college educated. So where are they getting this idea that like everybody in Lawton is going to be able to get a job here? Like, no, you need to be educated. So it's just, again, just lies on lies on lies. So yeah, and so that pretty much wraps up my part of the segment of the presentation. Like I said, just going through all of this stuff real quick. So pretty much Westwin Elements is trying to build a metal refinery, which they're taking the minerals from the Congo, which is cobalt. They're refining it and turning it into chemicals, dangerous chemicals, and one in particular is called nickel carbonyl. And they're using this to pump it back into big tech industries that will produce profit. And then, of course, this doesn't help the people in the Congo because, which my comrades will get into later in this segment of the presentation, but right now the Congolese people are going through a genocide. And so, you know, this is just not helping. Again, the leaders of the actual company, they're also like, excuse my language, they fucked in the head. I'm just gonna be honest.
They can't forget about the people of Sudan too.
Exactly. So like, there's a bunch of like crises that's happening within Africa and outside of the world. But you know, again, they're saying that they care. Kaylee Long said she's been in the Congo. She's been there on the ground and seen what's going on in the Congo, but still decides we're going to continue and actually exploit the people as well by building this refinery in Lawton. And again, they're telling us it's safe for the environment, which is just not true. And then they're telling us that they're going to give us job opportunities with this, which is also not true. So again, it's just a bunch of baloney lies. These people are disingenuous and they don't care at all. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And now we'll go for a Q&A if anybody got any questions, but other than that, I'll pass it off to the executive. Yeah.
I don't think you said Katie Long is a racist.
Yeah, she's up for it. Yeah, she's a racist. Come on, bro. Like, yeah, she definitely. At this point, if you look at the interview, like she has a lot of like Islamophobic rhetoric and all this other stuff. So yeah. But any other questions? We good?
Yeah, in a few minutes, I'm gonna need you to go back to the slide part where you was talking about Kaylee Long and the Westwin Element leaders, so I can get a little bit of footage from my TikTok I started.
Oh, okay.
And Kajobi, I don't know how much time we have on here, so I may start another Zoom. Cause how long did we go? 30 minutes?
It's like 40 minutes.
It's like 40 minutes. If you want, it probably won't let you restart the Zoom. You can hop over to WhatsApp to make that work too.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
Okay.
You good? Or you good? I can go through. Let me know when.
All right, let's go back to where they was talking about Katie Long and the other leader of Westwin Elements.
Yeah, so this is Kaylee Long, and then I can go to this one, and then I can go to Dennis Molenberg.
Yeah, let's talk about Katie Long and Dennis Molenberg.
Okay. Did you want me to talk about it, or you just wanted to look at the?
Yeah, I was wanting you to explain about these two.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
especially about Kaylee Longberg's history and her disregard for the Congolese people.
Yeah. So again, Kaylee Long, she literally has experience being in the Congo. She was a former political consultant, doing lobbying with a bunch of political candidates within Haiti, Congo, and Venezuela and South Africa. So she actually has experience being in the Congo. She even said in an interview that she saw the humanitarian crisis that's going on because of the whole intervention, but she still decides that she's going to build a refinery that will exploit the people in the Congo.
Yeah.
So
In a business she has no experience in.
yeah, she doesn't have any experience as far as refinery goes. She even, again, they lied about having an ARMA certificate on their website. So when Westwin Resistance pushed back on them, then they took it off. So it was just kind of like shady there and weird. And of course, she's a white supremacist. She has very racist type of ideology. If you look in the interview that we linked, you will see it. You'll see like Islamophobia. You'll see like, oh man, it's just weird. It's definitely unsettling. So yeah, that's pretty much Kaylee Long.
Okay, now the other guy, Dennis.
The killer.
Yeah, so Dennis Muhlenberg, he is also a board member of Westwin Elements. He's the former Boeing CEO, and he got fired in 2019 for being responsible of 2 737 MAX plane crashes in 2018, which resulted in 346 people dead because of those plane crashes. And he knew about this, the plane being unstable. He knew about that it was not going to work. And after the first plane crash, when it killed a bunch of people, he literally said, "Let's still go ahead and do it." So, and then that's what happened with the second plane crash. So, again, he's a whole nother set of problems too. But this is the board member of Westwin Elements. So, yeah. So that's pretty much it. So we good?
All right.
Yeah. Awesome. You ready?
No.
Okay, let me switch. Okay. If we good on questions, I'll pass it off to Xavier.
I shall keep my team brief. I got a history lesson for you, just to
Yeah, I'm about to start a separate Facebook Live for this.
got you. So my portion of the presentation is going to be giving historical context to the exploitation of the Congolese people and the minerals of the Congo, but also the history of the Congo and its exploitation is just a microcosm of what's going on in Africa as a whole and has been going on. See Sudan and pretty much any other country being exploited right now. So from 1885 to 1908, King Leopold II annexed the Congo Free State, or annexed the Congo under the guise of bringing civilization to the Congolese people. You know how they get down. Oh, they're not Christian. You know what I'm saying? We gotta go give them some Bibles and take all their minerals type shit. But yeah, so under the guise of bringing civilization to the Congolese people, but in reality, he exploited the Congolese people to extract rubber, ivory, and other minerals in the Congo. During his reign, more than 10 million Congolese people were killed. Following the Congo Free State era, the Congo became a Belgian colony until the 1960s, up until the African independence movement of the 60s. Following the African independence movement, more covert tactics had to be used to destabilize African countries to extract minerals by the Western imperialists. A good example of this is the assassination of Prime Minister Lumumba, the first Prime Minister of the Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo. And his subsequent replacement with Joseph Mobutu, the Western puppet that reigned for, I believe, 30 years. By getting rid of Prime Minister Lumumba, who was vocal about his anti-imperialist inclinations, basically, y'all not gonna come over here and exploit us and steal our stuff. Western nations could maintain the exploitation of Congolese resources that began with King Leopold's exploitation of rubber in the 1800s and persist with Westwin's exploitation of cobalt over a century and a half later. The DRC today. 7,000 Rwandan, well, this is the means of destabilization that is used today. 7,000 Rwandan and M23 troops are in the DRC. 74% of Rwanda's government is funded by Western donors, the World Bank, US, UK, Germany, France, and Japan. Rwanda, Uganda, and M23 militias are committing genocide in the DRC kidnapping, torturing, and weaponizing sexual violence to secure territories where conflict minerals are then extracted from the earth. Since 1993, 12 million Congolese people have been killed, and there are 1,100 rapes per month in the DRC.
They forgot a donor, Israel.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know they got their hands in everything though.
Israel definitely got their hands in what's going on in Congo as well as what's going on in Palestine. And Israel is, starting to do the same thing in Lebanon that they're basically doing in Congo and Palestine.
Yeah.
It's getting nasty too. This is the end of my section. I'll pass it on to my comrade Kajobi. He's on the Zoom call right now, so I'll bring it a little bit closer.
Yeah, peace. Can you hear me okay?
Y'all good? Yep.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, peace. Connect all of the sort of history of the Congo to the actual refinery itself. In order to do that, we gotta kind of zoom out a little bit, get a little bit of the sort of the connection for why this refinery is happening. Of course, it's not actually happening in a vacuum. There's sort of there's sort of political stakes and economic stakes that have led to this happening. So I'm starting here with a quote from Byron Donald, Republican from Florida. He's right for the Department of Defense in 2022. Him and a bunch of congressmen basically writing national highlights Cobalt reserves endangering America's critical mineral supply chain. From approximately 13,000 tons during the Cold War, Cobalt stockpiles now estimated at 333 tons. The United States currently has no major cobalt refineries, and this is 1.2, which results in a heavy dependence on other countries to refine cobalt, especially China. So basically, he's saying, of course, before Westwin, there's essentially no cobalt in the stockpile. We have no reserve, and we have no way of producing them, basically without China, which is a really shaky position for the U.S. to be in. So next slide. Basically, the pie chart on the left, this is a share of the mine cobalt supply in 2022. So basically, where cobalt is coming from in the world, as you can see, 73% 2022 was coming from the DRC, and then the rest is coming from the rest of the world, essentially. So a vast majority of cobalt is in this very specific region, Copper Belt, which I'll show on the next slide. But before I jump there, I just want to point out this graph on the right. This is basically a table for U.S. imports of cobalt across sectors. I was just wondering, y'all can see in that list, it's kind of small probably on the TV, but on the right, there's a list of the countries that the U.S. is importing from. If you look there, you can see somebody important is missing. Of course, the DRC. The DRC is not listed for the reason being that the DRC is not actually really refining any cobalt. They're mostly mining it and exporting it to other countries that are refining it. And so that's why you don't see the U.S. importing anything from the DRC. This is from 2024, a few months before.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like when I went out there to do demonstrations at Westwin Elements, they say that they're not getting it from anywhere else but Turkey. I believe that to either be a lie, but also a technicality of it being partially true. Well, if that is true, what I believe is they're not just going to steal these minerals from the DRC and ship it straight here to the United States. What I believe what may be happening, if they are getting it from Turkey somehow, is it comes from the DRC and it pretty much changes hands before it reaches the refinery, is what I believe.
Right. Yeah. I think you're exactly right. I think if you looked, I don't know how you would find this out, but if you were able to look at the Turkey's imports, I'm sure you would see exactly that. They're importing it from the DRC. I have seen little to no mention of Turkey actually having any in the ground that they're mining. So yeah, you're probably right.
And then I was doing a podcast interview last night with Kaysa from Westwin Resistance, and she did tell me that Turkey was on the top 10 list of where these minerals supposedly come from.
Interesting. Yeah. So it's possible they have some in the ground, but yeah, I would not be at all surprised if you have it
Honestly, I strongly believe that these minerals is being laundered, kind of like how money laundering works, just so Westwin Elements can say that they're not extorting the people of like Congo and Sudan. That's what I believe is happening.
Yeah, we're not exploiting the Congo. Turkey's exploiting the Congo. We just,
Passing the buck. That's what I believe is happening.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're doing right now with China, is they're basically letting China be the one who's actually extracting the resources.
I see.
And then having them, like most of the US's EVs, electric vehicles, personal devices and whatnot are produced in China. So they can the US can basically, and the West can basically wash their hands of it and say, oh, it's China who's, the one in the DRC. When if you look at the sort of complicated political situation that X was talking about with the Rwanda and Uganda, which of course are primarily funded by the West, by the United States, the UK, World Bank, IMF. They're the people that are committing genocide in the DRC for the purpose of accessing these resources. And so, no, the US isn't physically there, but if you follow the money, follow the sort of flow of resources, they are very much responsible for what's going on there. So, yeah. All that to say that, you're on track for sure. But yeah, I wanted to jump to the next slide just briefly. So ignore the little red circle. The blue circle is the one I'm interested in. That's the copper belt, essentially. So again, 50% of the remaining, 50% of the remaining reserves for cobalt are located literally in this Katanga region of the DRC. And so in the future, this is where we would expect to see political interventions, mining interventions, that kind of thing. But yeah, on the next slide, just to kind of give you a picture of what's actually happening on the ground. This is two photos. This is from an article that I would encourage y'all to look into from Escape National, the Kolwezi mine, again, they're in the Katanga region of the DRC. And so these two pictures are showing 2009 and 2023 of the same region. You can kind of see the sort of impacts that this mining operation has had on the community there in Kolwezi and the Arctic. And so, it's nuts. People are getting killed by flying rocks from the mining operation, losing limbs, mining, people being buried alive, etc. The conditions are pretty horrific. But the next slide is just again another picture of the Kolwezi mine of the mine itself. So that little section that we were talking about that was highlighted in pink. Here is highlighted in that little tiny red square. So this thing is gigantic, it's huge. I mentioned this the other day when we were talking, but you can literally see this mine from space. You can see it from deep in space. It's gigantic. And this has been, I don't know how long this has been here, but this is only one of many. So if you go in Google Maps or Google Earth, we just kind of look through these quickly, but you can see there's all these different mines that are just, again, visible from way up with the satellites. And this is just sort of the recent history of extraction of just this one resource, copper and cobalt mining. So you can see this in Ruwashi. You can see the companies that are behind these, mostly through China, for the reasons that we've been talking about before. China actually has a better history as far as the manner in which it is extracting. It's generally a little safer and a little more environmentally friendly than a lot of the Western companies are. This one in Kapula is owned by Refinery, which is a United Kingdom company. And those people are demons, straight up. They in Ivory Coast, they have that situation where they poisoned 100,000 people, resulting in miscarriages and skin rashes and diseases and stuff. Killed a dozen people just because they didn't want to deal with toxic waste correctly. But they're also in the DRC. They also, this company is nuts. They were buying and reselling stolen, looted oil from South Sudan. These are the sort of people that are kind of engaged in the DRC. I would encourage you to just go on Google Maps, Google Earth, you can find these things and look at the companies that are behind them. All that to say, this is an excerpt from a book from Cobalt Red, which Victor put me onto by Siddharth Kara. It basically described the conditions. He says, I've never seen more extreme predictions that I witnessed at the bottom of the global cobalt supply chain is that again, companies that sell products containing Congolese cobalt are worth trillions to people who dig their cobalt out of the ground eke out existence characterized by extreme poverty, immense suffering. They exist at the edge of human life in an environment that is treated like a toxic dumping ground for mining companies. Millions of trees have been clear-cut, dozens of villages raised, rivers and air polluted, and arable land destroyed. Our daily lives are powered by human and environmental catastrophe in Congo. And then on the next slide, you can kind of see like what the actual uses of cobalt are. Most of it is going into electric vehicles and portable devices like computers, cameras, etc., etc. But what's not in this graph is that of each one of these percentages, electric vehicles, portables, superalloys, a lot of those are going to what is called, what we euphemistically call defense, but really offense. We're talking about weapons. A lot of there's a very big effort by the Pentagon to electrify the vehicle fleet for all the reasons that everybody else is electrified today. But yeah, there's just increasing the need for cobalt in kind of all of these sectors, and all of this is sort of taken from the Congo, and yeah, we've seen the conditions that it's creating. But yeah, that's really it. That's kind of the end of the slides. I don't know if we want to do questions. Questions coming.
You guys have any questions so far?
I don't.
Awesome. Okay, appreciate you, Kajobi. As that slide shows, if any of this is interesting to y'all enough to maybe want to participate or help out, you can join Black Alliance for Peace.com or the All Africans People's Revolutionary Party. We are all in these groups, and we're just trying to find ways to build a base and just really inform people and get organized, because it's always interesting that like people, not to belittle people's radicalization of a lot of the politics or the things that you hear in the news now, but it's one thing to actually like do something about it, because at the end of the day, we're living in a time period where capitalism does not care about its people, and we're seeing this as it's moving.
And it really gets worse by the day.
Yeah.
And by the way, I never caught your name.
Josh.
Okay.
Yeah, Josh. That's pretty much it. So if you guys want to join,
And I appreciate you having this. Teaching right here. Give me a little bit of content to help get the people informed on my platform.
Yeah, of course. And we also have the clipboard with like a sign-in as far as being informed with the next events that we plan on doing. So if you guys want to be on the email list, just put your email down. Appreciate y'all.